defeating Valladolid 7-0. We're moving on to talk about some of the top soccer headlines going on in the soccer world, and we have to start off with some crazy news in my opinion. Victor Osimhen is going to go to Galatasaray on a loan deal to Galatasaray, and this is after we know he sort of wanted out for Napoli for a while now, and Antonio Conte has made plans to play without him, bringing in Lukaku into the club, and we know the sort of strained relationship between Osimhen and Napoli, and Osimhen found himself in an awkward position that he couldn't get the transfer out of there. Team was able to coop up the value for him, for Erling Haaland, for Victor Osimhen, and it put him in an awkward position that he can't sort of play anymore. Like he was gonna be put in a position he wasn't gonna play anymore because Antonio Conte, he's one of the most stubborn human beings alive. My friend was telling me he's a manager that's gonna die before he would die before going back on his word, and he does not he brought in Lukaku. He was done with Osimhen. He didn't really he came into the club thinking Osimhen is going to be sold immediately, and it was really pervasive in the way that he really wanted Lukaku to come in the club, and now Osimhen is going to, with the fact that all these big teams, they weren't able to get him, PSG, Chelsea, Arsenal, all that, he's desperate for a move away, because he's not really going to play under Antonio Conte at Napoli from what it sounds like. And he has traveled to Istanbul to complete his transfer to Galatasaray on a loan deal. And it's really sad. Victor Osimhen is a player that's good enough to start on the best teams in the world, on the best teams in the world. But he's having to go play a year at Galatasaray essentially, on loan, and then sort of leave the next season with the release clause, the $75 million release clause at Napoli, and that's just unfortunate for Osimhen as well. Unfortunate for Napoli. No, not unfortunate for Napoli, to be honest. Kind of disappointing for both, but very disappointing for Osimhen, who essentially is kind of wasting a year in his career playing at Galatasaray, because this is a player that should be competing for Champions Leagues and big, not Turkish league, but top leagues in the world, and he's having to go in Galatasaray, which will make Galatasaray probably the favorites now to win the Turkish league, with how dominant that they were last year. They only finished, I think, a point ahead of the rivals. We can check that actually. But yeah, this should definitely make them the favorites this year. They started off great, winning 3 games so far. They had that disappointing spell in the Champions League, in which they were eliminated in the qualifying rounds. But in Turkish league so far, they're 3 wins of 3. This past season, they won the league with 102 points. Fenerbahce finished second with 99 points. It was 99 points. Fenerbahce, they were able to bring in Jose Mourinho, and they've had a great start too as well, winning 3 games, drawing 1. But now with Osimhen going to Galatasaray, I think they should win Turkish league. Luis Suarez, he's going to retire from Uruguay after this Friday's World Cup qualifier. He announced that he'll be retiring from the Uruguay national team in a news conference this past Monday. He's going to step away after their World Cup qualifier when they take on Paraguay on Friday. He's their all-time leading goal scorer in international history. Was scoring 69 goals for Uruguay, and he's had 142 caps for Uruguay, which will turn, if he gets on the pitch against against Paraguay, will turn into 143, and And yeah, it's good that he kind of gets his farewell game. It's going to be at the Estadio Centenario in Montevideo, the sort of big stage for Uruguayan football. And yeah, I keep saying Luis Diaz, when he talked about it, he said, Luis Diaz? Luis Suarez, when he was talking about it, said, there's no better pride in oneself than knowing when the right moment to retire is. And luckily, I'm confident that I'm retiring from the national team because I want to take a step aside. I'm 37 years old, and I know that it's very difficult to get to the next World Cup. It comforts me a lot that I can retire, and not for my injuries to retire me or to stop being called up. For me individually, it is very helpful for me to want to take that step aside and feel ready. It's difficult because the decision was not easy, but I go with the peace of mind that until the last game I gave my all and that the flame did not burn out slowly, and that is why I made the decision that it should stop now. Cristiano Ronaldo, talking about Portugal, kind of the other way around. Cristiano Ronaldo with Portugal, playing against Croatia and Scotland in the Nations League, and Roberto Martinez naming Ronaldo to the squad. Cristiano Ronaldo says, Cristiano Ronaldo said, that's all from the press. It never crossed my mind that my cycle with Portugal had come to an end. Quite the opposite. It gave me even more motivation to continue, to be honest. The motivation is to come to the national team to win the Nations League. We already won it once and we want to do it again. I might say the same thing over and over again, but I don't think long term. It's always short term. Until the end of my career, I'll always have the mindset that I will be a starter. What I feel at the moment, and the coach's words also demonstrate this, is that I continue to be an asset to the national team, and I'll be the first to admit if that isn't the case. When I'm no longer an asset, I'll be the first to leave, but I will go with a clear conscience as well, because I know who I am, what I can do, what I do, and what I will continue to do. He'll be continuing for Portugal. Whether that's the good of Portugal or not is a different conversation, but salute to him. Joshua Kimmich, he has been appointed as the national team captain, the German captain, after the retirements of a lot of key experienced players, Manuel Neuer, Thomas Muller, Ilkay Gundogan. Ilkay Gundogan was actually the captain at this past European Championship as well. Now Joshua Kimmich, he's going to be the permanent captain for the German national team. Julian Nagelsmann said it. He said he called Joshua Kimmich the logical successor to Gundogan as captain. And it's a player with a lot of what's the word? Manuel Neuer actually also retired. I forgot to say that. And it's a player with a lot of experience, and he has leadership ability to him. And it's also Nagelsmann. He confirmed that Marc-Andre ter Stegen, he finally will get his chance to be the number one goalkeeper for the German national team. After being in the sideline for a while, being the sort of the number 2 to Manuel Neuer. Now with him being 32, he will be finally Germany's new starting goalkeeper, and he will be the starting goalkeeper into this run for qualifying for World Cup, into World Cup 2026. And obviously it's widely expected that Neuer was going to give, not Neuer, ter Stegen was finally going to get that opportunity, but it's happened. Dani Ceballos, he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks for Real Madrid with an ankle sprain. They confirmed this on Monday that Ceballos got injured in their win over Betis, which is disappointing because we already know that Bellingham is out. And then on top of that, now Dani Ceballos, it sort of limits the players in the midfield. Came from Real Madrid in a statement following tests carried out today by the Real Madrid National Service on our player Dani Ceballos. He has been diagnosed with a grade 3 sprain with ligament damage to his right ankle. Ceballos was yeah, that's disappointing injury, but something that shouldn't derail Real Madrid and their campaign this year. Thank you guys for tuning in to the GSMC Soccer Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired.